Welcome to the Lock-In podcast. This is episode 34. My name's Colin Winnichan and I work for Black Knight. We're the Irish web hosting company and we're extremely busy at the moment helping Irish businesses and people to work online. But besides that, that's not so interesting. What we always believe is interesting about the internet is what people actually do with it. And that's why we started this podcast, especially since the pandemic took hold. And we took inspiration from someone who suggested, let's not call it a lockdown, let's call it a lock-in. It's much more fun. Later in the show, I'm going to have some helpful information for people because this week, yesterday in fact, was Safer Internet Day. So we've got some helpful advice to people for people to make the most of the fact that we are relying on online technology a lot, but there are increased dangers associated with that as well. But there's a lot of common sense advice that we can share. We're going to do that. First, let's meet our guest. And my guest today is Tara Howley from Kilfenora. Hi, Tara.
Hi, how are you getting on?
I'm great and welcome to the show. Thanks for taking our call, Tara. And for those who don't know you, you're a professional Irish musician, Irish traditional musician and classically trained as well. But just to give that some context, Tara, for people who may not know you, I know that you're an All-Ireland champion uilleann piper, but besides that, how many other instruments do you play?
So I always, so I'm the youngest of three. I have two older sisters, Emer and Sharon, and music was just something that was second nature in our house. So instrument-wise, I didn't have the greatest attention span when I was younger. So I think that kind of led to how I play so many instruments today. So it's about maybe 8 or 9, I think. Yeah. But yeah, just...
There's fiddle, there's concertina.
Yeah.
There's everything in there as well. Tara, and as I said, you're a professional musician. Let's just to explain to our viewers and listeners, I think it's very interesting because like a lot of people, you are staying at home, staying safe in West Clare at the moment. But before the lockdown and the pandemic took hold, tell me where you were this time last year. On this day, in fact, you were just telling me.
Yeah, so on this day last year, we were performing in the Three Arena in Dublin with Riverdance. And
you're part of the cast of Riverdance.
Yeah. So I'm the uilleann piper with Riverdance, and so I've been with them for the last 5 years. So we've toured all around North America, Canada, Asia, Europe. But this time last year, exactly this day last year, we were performing in the Three Arena and we did 6 shows. And it was just phenomenal. And every night I had family and friends in because a lot of them hadn't, when we're touring, they can't come to see the show and stuff. So it was so special to be playing such a huge show and such an honor as well because they recorded the DVD. And which is
it was the anniversary, wasn't it?
If anybody would like to buy it.
Yes.
It was the 25th anniversary. So for those who might not know, Riverdance is celebrated, let's say its 25th year. And 25 years ago on the day, Riverdance opened in the Point, which is now the Three Arena. So it opened there and they actually invited back the cast who danced there 25 years ago. And at the end of it, it was so emotional. There's actually a video. And one of my friends zooms into me and I'm weeping, crying on stage as we're playing the finale. And all you just see is all of the cast members from 25 years ago. Jean Butler was there, Bill Whelan was there. And it was one of those moments I think you can't even really put into words. It was just, you have this deep feeling and it's oh my God, I wasn't born, I wasn't born when Riverdance, first started in the Eurovision. I was only... I wasn't born. I was 8 months. I was 8 months alive, but I wasn't born.
Wow. And then, of course, Tara, you finished up the anniversary show in the Three Arena and back on tour with your Riverdance company to North America. And what happened then? You got word that things were locking down, the tour was cancelled. You had to come home.
So we were in, after Dublin, we flew into a place called Kalamazoo. And it was so funny because we'd literally come from seeing everybody. And then it was flying into Kalamazoo. And then we did 3 weeks of shows and we like another highlight of that tour was getting to perform in Radio City Music Hall in New York. So at this stage, to be honest, like I don't think we were really aware of the severity of what COVID, and I don't think anybody really was, but like we never like really kind of tuned into the news. We were working, like, you're busy, you're on tour, it's not, like you're going from venue to venue, you do your sound check, you do this, and it wasn't really kind of all of a sudden. Then I remember we got to New York and there was talks of COVID-19, and like mom was ringing me from home and she was like, like, are you okay? And we were like, and not that we're clueless and not that we're kind of oblivious to things, but like we were like, yeah, like it's not going to affect, it's not like Broadway's not going to shut down. And anyway, we did our opening night in Radio City, and it was literally a show of dreams, as in it was just, if you've ever get the chance to go to New York, go and see a show in Radio City Music Hall. It is absolutely like the venue, the theater, the stage. It's just, and you see the acts that have played there, and you walk out on the stage, and you're just this tiny little dot, and there's this massive auditorium. But anyway, we were there and we did a show. There were kind of talks then of like some people weren't coming to the show because they were afraid of the virus. And we were like, oh my God, like, I don't think this is good.
Yeah.
Got to the stage, then everything started to hit. And then we did a show and we kind of knew that it was going to be our last. We say this is on maybe, I think it was a Thursday, and all of the shows were sold out. So we had sold out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows, Saturday, 2 shows, Sunday. And anyway, we did our show, let's say on Thursday, and then we kind of had the feeling that, okay, I don't think, this potentially could be our last show. So anyway, there was an emergency meeting on stage after the show, and like all of us knew, like we just knew. And what was actually said then was, it was like, there's going to be a 2-week, we might be taking a 2-week break. So we were like, oh, that's grand, like 2 weeks. No problem. It's really bad in New York. So, we were moving on to another state. So they were like, we're going to take a 2-week break, see how things are. And then the next morning we got an email and it was like, Broadway has shut down. All the tours are cancelled. And it was like by the hour, it was like a scene from a movie. It was like all this, like literally all the bad news is coming in, email after email. And then it was like, your flight is booked for Shannon, like this evening. And it was like, what? Like some of the Australian dancers had their flight booked within that couple of hours. It was like, you're going home. You need to get home. We have to get you out of we need to get you out of here. And like, oh my God, I'm not going to start crying. I did not think I was going to start imagine. Crying. But it was just like, I like, oh my God, I'm not one to get like emotional. This is really strange.
I can understand it, Tara, because I mean, it is you invest so much emotion and creativity and enthusiasm into performing in a show like Riverdance. It takes a lot of energy, and then suddenly for that to be turned off so suddenly, and to find the people that you've forged these bonds with and that you're working together with and trying, creating something extraordinary, and suddenly it's quite dramatic and I'm sure it's emotional. Yeah,
but it was more even kind of like how it all happened. It was like all of a sudden it was like not just Riverdance was cancelled, but like literally and like any performing artist whose sole income and whose sole job is performing, like you didn't have the fallback plan where you fall back and you're able to go back into doing whatever job you might, or whatever. And it was literally like when we came back from New York, it was like, I mean, I'm never going to forget last year. It was one of the most challenging years, and you do try to keep yourself busy, and like I was fortunate enough to have projects that we were part of, and we filmed the score for a new movie that's coming out with Universal, and like, so there are really good sides to it as well, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do if I was on the road. But I just think like mentally it's like every day it's like everything stopped. Like even if you weren't on tour, you'd be doing gigs, you'd be doing corporate events, you'd be doing weddings, you'd be doing and like there were a couple of weddings, but it was that feeling of, and like, and I'm not saying like, oh, poor me or anything, but every artist, and it's not just the artists, Con, as well. It's like, it's the riggers, it's the stage crew, it's the lighting, it's the sound production, it's, it's the bus drivers. I mean, everything went for them as well, and I think that's not talked about enough as well, because their whole livelihood stopped because they didn't have anybody to drive on tour, So I often feel very, very sorry for them as well, because it's going to be one of the slowest, I think, I suppose, I don't know, it's going to be one of the hardest things to get back to where it was. Because, let's say for the lighting managers, let's say they have to have a show that's going to be big enough to pay them. Like, you're not going to have those people, you're not going to employ them for a show with maybe, 100 people, because their equipment is so expensive, so it's things like that. It's stage riggers, it's people, the stage managers, and the wardrobe ladies, and men, like jobs like that you only see when you're actually on the road. You only, people might take it for granted, but I mean, those wardrobe, the wardrobe team are so important. Like without the wardrobe team, there'd be no shows. It's like you take it for granted that your costume's washed for you. You take it off after the show, it's washed, it's hanging up in your spot. It's the same, like everything is cleaned for you. And it's jobs like that. Like, it's so many people have suffered from performing arts and theaters and artists, and it's so much more than just the people on the stage. I often feel just as bad for the people off stage, because just because they don't get the glam and the performance, likely their livelihood is, that's their job gone as well. So
I think a lot of people are aware of that some industries are more harder hit than others, and I know those of us that enjoy music and gigs and concerts and shows and performances are well aware, I think, as well, that and it's an industry, really. I think actually it was interesting, I don't know, Tara, if you saw any commentary on Tom Cruise's outburst on the set of the Mission Impossible film that he was making.
No, I didn't see it.
No, it's you should look it up. Actually, I don't know if you follow the two Johnnies. They do a great chat about it on one of their podcasts as well.
Oh, I'll have to listen to it. Yeah, I love them. They're class.
Yeah, but to give it to you in a nutshell, basically it went a little bit viral. Was a recording of Tom Cruise, who's a producer on the Mission Impossible series of films, and basically as such responsible for people's health and safety, responsible for it as a project and all of that as well, and absolutely losing the head with two people that he, in his judgment, weren't observing proper social distancing, and he went off on a bit of a rant, as you might imagine Tom Cruise might do. But the justification for it was that, look, we're making this movie under very careful conditions. A lot of people's jobs are depending on it. A lot of people's mortgages are depending on it. And his point was the rest of the Hollywood industry is watching us really carefully and hoping we can pull this off, because if we can do it, then that will greenlight other projects and that as well. But so many, I think, given just what you've outlined, so many projects and so much, like so many people's livelihoods are dependent on the arts, the events industry, and especially in this country, tourism and the arts and that as well. Tara, I know it's difficult for you, and I appreciate you for giving us that insight into it as well. You are staying safe, staying at home in Kilfenora, but you're not staying idle, and you're reaching out to people online. Now, I know this is something you did before. You did a project called 365 Days by Tara, and you posted a different tune every day. Other musicians have done similar things as well. You're doing it again right now. You did a good few videos last year, but you're teaming up with other people and getting other people involved. And your latest one is the Jerusalema dance video with your swim buddies from Spanish Point. Tell me about that, please.
So like you said, I did it 365 days back in 2019, and it was just such a gorgeous way to meet people that you mightn't necessarily have. I don't like saying an excuse to meet, but I think with musicians, everybody knows each other, but like not everybody knows each other, well enough to be like, hey, how are you? And it's kind of like, good, yeah. And you have to pretend that you don't know everything about them, even though you do, because you follow them and you see what they're doing, but you might have never had that conversation. So it's a great way to, and especially this year then, like I missed it last year when I wasn't doing it. So then this year I was like, you know what? I think I just need a focus and like a structural focus where every day, even just for myself, I create something new. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm not saying everyone should do it, but just to have one focus for the day, it just keeps your mind, especially it's kind of validation as well. Like, I'm still a musician, I'm still an artist, I don't have a stage, but I make my own one. So it's kind of like creating just that kind of lift in yourself. And like, so far, like, I've got to do videos with people virtually and in America, and there's a guy from China that's going to do a video with me, and I have another man from Taiwan. It's just things like that you'd never really get the chance to do it, or it would kind of make no sense to be like, she's doing uploading a video with some, so it's kind of and yeah, so I actually had work to do over in Spanish Point. So fortunately, I haven't been able to swim with them in a while with the guidelines, but I had to go over there for work anyway. So I said, look, I'll film the video for them. And I'm just after looking at my phone, and it's 11:11, and that's a really good sign. So 11:11, if anyone knows me, that's a huge thing in my life. If you see 11:11, so that's a good omen. Yeah, so June Carton is the founder of Snamhaí Sásta. So for anyone that is wondering, Snamhaí Sásta is Irish for happy swimmers. And she knew that I was going to be going over there, and I said, look, I'll bring my gimbal. And we were very safe, like everyone wore masks, we observed social distancing as well, and was very clear about that, like you said, because but yeah, it was great. And then other people from Snamhaí Sásta, so there's a man out in New York, Billy Lyons, who filmed it in the snow, which was just incredible. So like I edited that into the video, and I love video editing, and I love videography and camera work and stuff, so it was right up my alley to do a project like that. And we had Sarah Ironside out in Brussels, and like she stripped off into her in her swimsuit, just in the middle of Brussels doing the Jerusalema dance. And like, I think it has, like, I put it up maybe 2 days ago. It has like 12 or 20, I don't know, 23,000 views or something. And just the comments of people saying, like, Con, it's not about having something perfect. This idea of perfection just goes out the window because, it was such a fun, I mean, and I'm not just saying it because I videoed it, but as in like the dancers inside in it and everybody, it's just so happy. It's just such a gorgeous way to, kind of watch something that's not about Mrs. Coronavirus. It's like, we can still dance.
Yes.
And some knew the moves really well and some didn't, and that's what made it equally as good. So yeah, if anyone wants to check that out, it's on Facebook, Snamhaí Sásta Jerusalema Challenge. But it's just to give people a lift as well. And I think aside from anything else, just doing something that's going to make you smile, doing something that's going to make you happy. And now I don't want to be a hypocrite, because there's days where I'm like, I don't want to be in a good mood, I'm angry today. And like, those days are important because you have to get it out of your system, we're all human. We all have days where we want to throw our laptop in the air because the Zoom link won't work and you're late and there's like interviews and it's like, but it's just literally one day at a time. That's all we can do, because that's all we have, especially now.
That's so true, Tara, and I just want to say thanks to you for taking the time to talk to me this morning, because it's not that you're jetting around the world at the moment, but I get the feeling you make yourself busy, you keep yourself busy, you find things to do, and you engage with people either in your community in Kilfenora or as I said, online and that as well. Tara, thanks a million for talking to us.
Thanks very much for having me. Have a lovely day.
You too. And that's our guest today, Tara Howley from Kilfenora. We'll put links to Tara's videos and stuff online. We'll put them in with the notes at thelockin.ie. That's our website. And you can click through to those from there, see her videos on Facebook and other places like that as well. We're also going to post a link to a press release that we have put up for Safer Internet Day, which was yesterday, just to point out that that some of the activity, the increase in activity that we've seen online, for example, in Black Night, has also led to an increase in criminality. It's like our boss Michele said, where you have crowds, you have criminals, and you get pickpocket warnings at football matches and things like that. Equally, you're going to get issues when more and more people are going online. We've seen a 244% increase in phishing attacks using our company name alone, and other companies are seeing similar results as well. We'll put a link in with the notes on that at thelockin.ie. You can see advice on how to stay safe. We've also published a 7-step simple guide to online safety, or as simple at least as we can make it. Listen, that's it for now. Thanks again to Tara Howley for being our guest. Good evening, Tachtan Chachun. Nu on Chaikis Chachun de Carta Mara. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Until then, slán go fóill.